Hey, what's going on, RC drivers? Welcome back to the workshop, and since this is a Get Into RC video, welcome to all the new drivers watching. Hit that subscribe button. You're in the right spot to learn about RC stuff. Now, today we are going to talk about workspaces, more specifically workbenches. A few weeks ago, I posted a shop tour video of the shop here, and in that video, I kind of hinted that I was working on a how to build a workbench video and kind of screwed up the footage, but a lot of people are still interested in learning how to build an RC or hobby workbench. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Actually, we're going to talk about a few options because I know some people don't want to build, some people are looking for budget options, and so that's what we're going to go over. First up, we have a bench over here that I have set up, and this might be a great setup for those of you that are on a budget and have a small space. So here we have a simple table setup that you could pretty much pick up in any home center. It's your standard card table, basically. They offer these tables in a couple different sizes, but if you're working on a kitchen table, maybe a coffee table or something like that, I really suggest that you go out, spend a few bucks, and get a table set up like this. You don't want to work on your dirty RC car on your kitchen table where you're going to eat, or maybe scratch it up, have oils and chemicals drip on your kitchen table. This is really the way to go, and especially if you have space concerns where you have a smaller house, an apartment, or something like that. This type of setup really works out because you can fold up the table, put it away when you're done, and like I said, they have them in a variety of sizes. But what I like about this particular table is the legs. They are extendable, so you could drop it down a little bit or raise it up. I like to raise it up all the way and kind of have a lower bar stool like you see here. And basically, because when we're working on an RC car, it's kind of precise. You want to make sure you're getting things done right, and having the item up close to you, the products up close to you, will allow you to see everything better, just work on everything much better, and it's just great for hobby use when the tables are a bit higher, in my opinion. But like I said, you could get these in a number of different sizes. I think this particular one cost me about $40, and the bar stool here, I think I picked that up at a Walmart or something like that for $15. And then what I would suggest doing is just getting a towel. This is obviously an RC towel, but you could go get a towel out of a department store for $5 or whatever, and just use that to collect dirt or screws that drop, and it helps clean up your surface and make working on the car a lot easier. And I also suggest to maybe get a decent tool set. I mean, if you're just kind of the occasional user, they have some inexpensive tools like this. They're much better than the tools that come with the cars, the little Allen wrenches. And it all depends on how deep you're going to get into the hobby. If this is something basic, you could tear it down when you don't need it, put it back up when you're going to work on your RC stuff. But I'm going to call this the basic setup, the budget setup. And I actually use this quite often myself, just kind of set something up to work on an additional project over here. So it really comes in handy. Much better than working on your coffee table or something. So that is setup number one. Now we're going to go over here to setup number two. And this might be good for someone that doesn't want to build a workbench like we have over here. We're going to get to that. Or want something a bit more than that budget setup that I just showed you. So this is a workbench that you could go and buy at, this particular one I got at Sam's Club, but again, you could go to a big box store, a home store, and probably pick something up like this as well. And this is obviously a manufactured workbench. On the top here is a butcher block table. This one is from Seville Classics, and again, I got it from Sam's Club. This one costs about $150, and they have them in all different sizes. So again, if you have the space and you don't want to build something, you might want to pick something up that's a bit more refined, a bit more sturdy. And again, you could adjust the height on this one, which I really, really like. The butcher block is really nice. It's hard, sturdy, has a good finish to it, which makes all the difference in the world when you're working on your RC cars. You really just want a nice ease of use for maintenance and so on. You really just want to enjoy your hobby. And again, I've got a little setup here that I wanted to show you guys. What I have here is a Proline pit mat, and again, this makes working on your RC vehicles nice and easy. When screws drop, they kind of just stay here, or when dirt drops, you leave it here, you pick this up, you take it outside, and you shake it off, and it just makes working on the car much nicer. And then over here, I just have a higher grade of tool for RC cars. These are some dynamite nut drivers and hex drivers. They offer them in a variety of sizes. What I'm actually going to do is I'll put some links to this stuff in the description below if you're interested. And again, there's a bunch of different companies that make all different types of grade tools and different shapes and sizes and everything like that. So you can go find what works for you, or again, take my recommendations. Again, the links will be down below. And then I would really recommend getting a light. If you're going to go for a better setup, and even for the budget setup over there, definitely get yourself a light. Just allows you to work on your cars a lot easier when you could see everything. All right, now we can get on to building a custom workbench, and that's what I've done here. If you watch the shop tour video, I've got 22 feet of workbench space here, which comes in really handy. I've got all my different stations set up for building. But I want to talk about this section right over here. So this is basically an 8-foot section that I built up for hobby use. And I am not a carpenter, so you're not going to get the professional terms here. But I built a couple benches like this. And so I'm just going to walk you through my thought process of building this particular bench. So first up, I started with the piece of plywood. This is a piece of pine, a 4x8, 3/4 inch thick. And when I was at Home Depot, I actually had them cut it down. So it's actually 32 inches deep, and there's the extra section that was cut off. You can see it down below. I'll talk to you about that in a little bit, but 32 inches I found is a great depth for an RC workbench, especially in a custom RC workbench. It gives you plenty of room to work on all different size vehicles. And like I said, definitely have the home center cut it for you. Most of them offer free cuts or 2 free cuts. So definitely take advantage of that. I did. It's a nice even cut. I didn't have to worry about cutting it myself. And then what I did was made my own frame for it. And now I kind of went a little bit overboard. I did 4x4s on the corners. So you're going to need 2 of those because you're basically going to cut it in half and then actually cut it a little bit shorter than half. I'll give you the dimensions in the description below, but you'll need 2 for this side, obviously 2 for that side, and then you're going to need a bunch of 2x4s, and I believe it was a total of 7. You have 2 on the top here, 2 down below for the lower shelf, and then on each side we've got 1 2x4 cut in half, the other end is over there, and same with the lower shelf, and then a couple of cross braces. So about 7 2x4s should do it for you. I hope I explained that right. And then what I did was I used some deck strapping ties here. I believe that's the proper term for it. Here is one of them over here that I used for the corners. And this I kind of used because I thought it looked pretty cool, number one. I wanted my bench to look pretty good, add a little bit of industrial flair to it. I'm getting a little home television renovation on it, but I thought it would look cool to add those. You don't need to. You could build your box out and have your 4x4s go into the corners, but this looked pretty cool. This allowed me to put my 4x4 in and then set my 2x4s in there and just have a really cool sturdy workbench setup, and it came out really well. So this is basically a 8-foot long piece of 2x4. Had to cut it down, of course, for the ends. You will need to make some cuts. You're going to need your basic tools to set up your work or build your workbench. But like I said, you've got a board that's a little shorter than 2x4x8 here and another one in the back. And then let me crouch down so you can kind of see a little bit more down here. So I got another 2x4 down below here and another one on the back side. And that supports that leftover piece of plywood. Now I have a nice storage bench for additional stuff that I'm working on, and of course it actually helps make this workbench a lot more rigid. So I've got these cross pieces here that connect the legs, and everything is screwed in with the decking screws basically because I had decking screws and I know they're going to be strong. These are the screws that I screwed a lot of boards together with, and then the deck strap here I used some shorter screws. These torque screws here, they're basically just an inch. And then when I had everything bolted together, I used these finish nails that I just had in my garage. And actually, you can barely see the head here on the workbench. So it's nice and small. You don't have a black sheetrock screw or anything like that. So, I mean, basically, if you have hardware, go and use it. I would definitely suggest that. That will help cut down on the price. But these are some of the basic tools that I use for it. Have yourself a square and a level. Of course, a pencil, tape measure, so you can measure things out. Here's my Milwaukee Impact. I love that thing. And then I actually use a miter saw to cut most of the boards here. And, if you don't have a miter saw, you can get away with a small handheld circular saw. But it's really easy to put this together. It's probably going to take you, hour and a half if you're, fair with tools and kind of know what you're doing. Maybe a little bit longer if it's your first time building a workbench. But, I painted mine just to make it look a little bit better. And I think I'm going to seal the top just so if I do drop any oils on there, it doesn't seep down into this pine wood. Now, the total cost for this bench, I believe if I added it up right, is about $160, $170. And again, this is an 8-foot workbench versus, this smaller bench over here that cost me $150. And again, I've got the storage down below, which I think is fantastic. And you know, if something ever happens where I do get oil on the top, I could go and replace the top sheet for like $40 or something like that. So that is my workbench setup. The other key is, in my opinion, is to screw this to the wall. And actually I have a concrete wall behind it, so I had to use a hammer drill and put concrete screws in through. But that is a key to just, making it solid, so when you're wrenching on your vehicle, the bench isn't moving around and just, wreaking extra havoc on your workbench time. But I love this workbench setup. Again, I went and extended this, so I've got 22 feet of workbench space, and it makes life a lot easier, especially when you really get involved in the RC hobby. And like I showed you with the other workbenches, you can get yourself a mat to go on top if you don't want oils to spill on the wood. Over here are some more high-end tools. So I've got some MIP tools over here because I work on RC cars so much. That is a great tool set to get for those of you that are really into the hobby. And because I know I get this question a lot, this is an extreme racing tool stand here. I found some, I will put a link to that below, and grab them while you can, because I don't think he makes those anymore, but that's a great tool caddy, which allows you to put pliers and stuff in there. But you could go and set everything else up, the way you want to, the way it's gonna make, sense for your particular workshop. I would also suggest getting a shop light. So you can get these at the home centers as well. This is a light that I assembled, actually. It's an old workshop light that I gutted and put LED lights in, took out the ballast and everything, so it's just running LEDs in there. But when you have a large workbench space like this, you definitely want a really good light source. And finally, grab yourself a decent stool to sit on. If you're gonna be working on an RC car for hours, you definitely want to sit on something nice and plush with a good pad to the seat and everything like that. That is height adjustable, so it actually works out really well for my different benches. And there you have it, a few solutions for workbenches for the RC hobby. Have you found something that works better for you? Please put it in the comments section below and share it with your fellow RC enthusiasts. While you're down there, please hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell, throw the video a like, and we'll see you back soon for some more RC driver videos.